Whoever fights monsters should see to it that in the process he does not become a monster. And if you gaze long enough into an abyss, the abyss will gaze back into you. The individual has always had to struggle to keep from being overwhelmed by the tribe. If you try it, you will be lonely often, and sometimes frightened. But no price is too high to pay for the privilege of owning yourself. The surest way to corrupt a youth is to instruct him to hold in higher esteem those who think alike than those who think differently. And those who were seen dancing were thought to be insane by those who could not hear the music. I was in darkness, but I took 3 steps and found myself in paradise. The first step was a good thought, the second, a good word, and the third, a good deed. Not infrequently, we encounter copies of important human beings. And here, too, as in the case of paintings, most people prefer the copies to the originals. There will always be rocks in the road ahead of us. They will be stumbling blocks or stepping stones. It all depends on how you use them. There are 2 different types of people in the world, those who want to know, and those who want to believe. Sometimes people don't want to hear the truth because they don't want their illusions destroyed. You must be ready to burn yourself in your own flame. How could you rise anew if you have not first become ashes? The surest way to corrupt a youth is to instruct him to hold in higher esteem those who think alike than those who think differently. The great man is colder, harder, less hesitating, and without fear of opinion. He lacks the virtues that accompany respect and respectability, and altogether everything that is the virtue of the herd. If he cannot lead, he goes alone. He knows he is incommunicable. He finds it tasteless to be familiar. When not speaking to himself, he wears a mask. There is a solitude within him that is inaccessible to praise or blame. I know of no better life purpose than to perish in attempting the great and the impossible. The true man wants 2 things: danger and play. For that reason he wants woman, as the most dangerous plaything. Everyone who has ever built anywhere and knew heaven and first found the power thereto in his own hell. Do you want to have an easy life? Then always stay with the herd and lose yourself in the herd. Insanity in individuals is something rare. But in groups, parties, nations and epochs, it is the rule. He who cannot obey himself will be commanded. That is the nature of living creatures. When marrying, ask yourself this question: do you believe that you will be able to converse well with this person into your old age? Everything else in marriage is transitory. Nobody can build the bridge for you to walk across the river of life, no one but you yourself. Alone. There are, to be sure, countless paths and bridges and demigods which would carry you across this river, but only at the cost of yourself. You would pawn yourself and lose. There is in the world only one way, on which nobody can go, except you. Where does it lead? Do not ask. Go along with it. So long as men praise you, you can only be sure that you are not yet on your own true path but on someone else's. I am a forest, and a night of dark trees. But he who is not afraid of my darkness, will find banks full of roses under my cypresses. The snake which cannot cast its skin has to die. As well the minds which are prevented from changing their opinions, they cease to be mind. Solitude makes us tougher towards ourselves and tenderer towards others. In both ways it improves our character. To predict the behavior of ordinary people in advance, you only have to assume that they will always try to escape a disagreeable situation with the smallest possible expenditure of intelligence. And if your friend does evil to you, say to him, "I forgive you for what you did to me, but how can I forgive you for what you did to yourself?" One can promise actions, but not feelings, for the latter are involuntary. He who promises to love forever or hate forever or be forever faithful to someone is promising something that is not in his power. My solitude doesn't depend on the presence or absence of people. On the contrary, I hate who steals my solitude without, in exchange, offering me true company. In loneliness, the lonely one eats himself. In a crowd, the many eat him. Now choose. Young people love what is interesting and odd, no matter how true or false it is. More mature minds love what is interesting and odd about truth. Fully mature intellects, finally, love truth. Even when it appears plain and simple, boring to the ordinary person, for they have noticed that truth tends to reveal its highest wisdom in the guise of simplicity. Men who think deeply appear to be comedians in their dealings with others because they always have to feign superficiality in order to be understood.